Hey, GLP-1 plus size community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise." That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.
Welcome.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Hey, how's everybody doing this here
Got my
Tuesday?
lights work.
Do you know what someone say to me, sent me a message and said, I've never even heard you have an accent before. I'm like, I'm from Georgia. Of course I have an
It
accent.
comes out.
Yes, but it's usually just when I'm pissed or sad. I don't know.
No, it comes out when you've had a little bit of sauce, honey.
A little bit of sauce.
Little bit
I
of
have not had
sauce.
sauce today. I have not.
It'll
had
come out. Or if you have one of my nephew's cookies, it'll come out too.
Well, it's a good cookie.
Nice.
It's a good cookie. I'm not gonna lie. Your nephew's got away with cookies.
That's hilarious.
Especially when your system is slow and you're on the tirzepatide. It's like it's a good
She's
time
the
for like
best
24
cat.
hours.
When she's sauced. You just
That's hilarious.
You don't know. I love my wife anyway, but when my wife
Listen,
A1
Pat
okay.
knows that vodka Kim is a beautiful thing. Yes.
It's vodka Kim is fun.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, hey y'all.
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Tonight we have me and Kat and Bear extraordinaire. So Bear doesn't usually come on the recorded episodes, so he is going to be hosting with us this evening.
You're dark and
And then-
mysterious up there, Bear.
Oh, yeah, he is. I know that's because when he turns the light on, I can see how dirty the wall is, and I cringe. It's because he's in the
You
man.
didn't have to say that out loud. Now everybody knows.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Just paint it. I'm just
listen,
kidding.
I always say all the things. You know, it's kind of my thing. It gets tiring to filter.
In her defense, Kat, it has been a minute since I've cleaned down here. So she has like valid reasons to be mad at me because I've been doing my artistic hermiting thing. So it's not in its pristine.
I get it. That would give
condition.
me a highest anxiety form. Like, oh my God.
I don't think you can handle this house. Kim. I've seen your house. It's like you couldn't.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll do quick rounds and then we'll get started. My name is Kim, Plus Size Podcast. And I have been on a GLP-1 for 2 years. I have struggled with obesity since I was 8 years old, and an eating disorder since I was 8 years old, binge eating disorder. And I started taking these medications 2 years ago. And it's completely changed my life, freed up my brain. I out of literal insanity, quit my job, started selling on TikTok Shop, started this podcast, and became an advocate. And I've just been going for it. like ever since. And I was never like that before. I was tired and I was sick. And so what I do is I try to bring a voice to people in our community, so that they can know that, they're not alone and that it's not their fault and that there is care available for them, and bring you resources to the community. Kat does the same thing with me, and Bear the Extraordinaire also does. And that's what we do here. I've lost 110 pounds so far. I still have more to lose. Kat and I talk a lot about what it's like to kind of be at the end of a journey or the end of the weight loss and still be in a bigger body and what that's like. And, it's you can't like think that this like journey is going to be the same for everybody. So we talk a lot about that on the podcast too. Let's go over to Kat. Kat, who are you? What you doing? Why you here? What's up?
Hey. Hi, I'm Kat. I have been on the Terzeps, and now I do the compound.
The bad word.
The bad word.
Madness. It is not. It's fabulous.
Yeah. I have officially lost 60 pounds. I have been at that phase because I've been on it for 2 years as well. It has definitely changed a lot of my life. I don't fixate on food like I used to. I don't binge like I used to. And now I have to feel my feelings like I didn't want to before. So that's a new thing. And that's another new adventure that I'm going through, which is very interesting. I went through that moment of maintaining for like 6 months, and I started to gain, actually. I've been like this, but now we're getting back down. Inflammation is going down. So to everybody out there, it is not a silver bullet. You have to put in the work. You got to move your body. I like to sweat. I sweat a lot now because I'm in perimenopause. And you got to eat your fruits and vegetables and have your protein. It is not a silver bullet.
But you can also have McDonald's now and again.
Yeah, just not too much, because that will hurt your guts. Ooh, it hurts. So that's all I'll say about that.
Okay, then. Thanks, Kat.
You're welcome.
Hey, Bear the Extraordinaire. I guess I just decided to give you the nickname.
Okay.
All right, this is my husband, John. This is now a family business. We're all in, guys. Please subscribe. Hey, Bear, who are you? What you doing? Why are you here?
Well, I'm Bear the Extraordinaire. I edit the podcast, and apparently I pop in and guest guest host now. So I've been on the medication for about a year and a half. Started out actually with Kim, and then because of side effects, I got off of the medication and then got back onto it about 6 months later. I have lost a total of, I believe I am at 70 pounds now, or close to it. I'm fluctuating between 299 and 304 right now. So,
I understand
that's just water and food, baby. Water and food.
I get it.
Yeah, water. And I did just go up to 15 last week, so I'm hoping that'll help me break the stall, as well as I've got to get back to drinking my water. But the medication has definitely changed my life. Of course, with my wife, and making everything more interesting in that way, and then also, helping me with my own anxiety and my own food noise. And amazingly enough, even with my autistic brain, it helps me control things a little bit better.
Impulsivity.
Yeah, impulsivity, mainly impulsivity. And so I don't feel the need to stim as much. I don't feel the need to push buttons to go and look for my next fix, because it wasn't just food. It was what I did to solve that. It was just whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's so interesting.
It's very cool.
Well, thank you, honey. I appreciate that so much. Tonight, we're not doing a community guest. We're not doing a doctor. Bizarre, right? We never do that. So we are, because we want to have a different conversation. If there's anything that Kat and I have learned over this, I would say, journey. God, that's getting old. We got to find something new. Hashtag Mounjaro. Adventure. Yeah. Is that this is really all about health. This is about your mental health, your physical health, everything. And because of that, we want to make sure that we have partners that are able to provide resources to our community for any piece of health or part of their journey, no matter where they are. So that's what we try to do. And one of our partners and sponsors is Roe. And we are going to interview the CEO of Roe tonight, which is Zach, and I will invite him in. Hey, Zach.
Yeah, Ro.
Hey.
Hey, Zach.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
So
I was smiling big time as y'all were introducing yourself and telling your stories, but also cracking jokes.
Yes.
We're characters.
You got to have fun. This is some intense stuff sometimes. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but it's incredible to see. I mean, we connected probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago maybe, but it's even incredible to see the pod and the community grow even over the last 6 months. But knowing that, you and Bear and Kat took the leap and you're all full time is super exciting.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Congrats to you three. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going for it. So we'll see. Yeah. We're hoping, it's a leap of faith for sure.
No, I saw my wife was she's a video journalist and she was at Vox for about 5 years.
Cool.
But she started her working on this idea on the side. And then that side thing became the main thing when, you scratch that passion. And so I know that I saw at least up close and she saw with me, when you take that leap from a side project to the main thing, it's scary. Yes. And it's intense, but y'all are doing it. And it's such an incredible thing to see.
Thank you. Yeah, we I blame it on Shark Tank. John and I that's one of our favorite pastimes is watching like reruns of Shark Tank. And now we're out. So now we're watching old reruns of like Roseanne and Reba and like just
same genre,
Yeah, same genre.
There you go.
Get it.
We're so different.
Mark Cuban, Reba.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, right there. I love it.
Translates,
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's what we just were like, let's just go, let's do all the things. And I think that when we started this, I mean, truthfully, he has definitely sacrificed my son and him because I just have not been as present as I could be because of, trying to have the full-time job, trying to do, create content, trying to do lives and support, and then trying to do the podcast. It's just too much. So it wasn't sustainable, and, just recently we just decided just to go for it. And I mean, it's mostly TikTok shop, but I think that we know at the end of the day that we get messages constantly that we're helping people and that it matters to them, and that they don't feel alone, that they're forgiving themselves and that they're getting the help that they need and deserve. And that's worth everything, and now my family gets to be a part of it and see it too, So
awesome.
It's the coolest part. Yeah.
It's like what Cuban and Robert and all them always say too. Like you don't know what type of entrepreneur or what type of person you are until your back's against the wall. Until you're digging in, 10 toes down and just pushing through it. It teaches you a lot about yourself.
Totally.
And I'm more proud of her today than, when I first met her 20 years ago. She's just an amazing woman.
Beautiful.
Oh. You're sweet.
Cute. Bear, you're now going to host every episode together. Coming in every single one.
Bear the Extraordinaire is now an official host. And he will just shower me with compliments the whole time.
Well deserved.
Well, let's talk about you. Enough about me. Good Lord. Let's talk about you. I want to talk about Roe. I want to talk about, what you guys are providing. I think you guys are doing a lot of really cool additional resources to help people in this journey and help people in their health at all. It's something that Kat and I, we're talk about. And then I mentioned at the beginning is that we've learned and, doing this 2 years, year and a half on the podcast, but, 2 years in this journey is that the more we learn and the longer we're on the medicine, we realize it's not about the medicine. And it's not about weight. It's about the full picture and what releasing that weight does. And then what you do with your mind when that happens and what you do with your body when that happens. Right. And so that's been really cool for us to experience that, but we're still learning, and we're making mistakes, but we want other people, depending on where they are in their journey, to be able to learn it too. Because she and I have said many times, man, I wish I had known that in the beginning. You know what I mean? I wish I had known that if I did from the doctors, right, that they said 10 minutes of strength training, maybe I would still have a butt. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know that. So now I have to build the butt back up. So, we'll get there. It's fine. It's fine. But it's true. But there's lots of things like that, like that
Yep.
there wasn't enough knowledge in the beginning. There really still isn't, So we're just trying to bring all those things together. But knowing that, what I'd like you to do, if you could, is tell our
Yeah.
audience a little bit about who you are and how you help people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the easiest way maybe is like how Row started, because it is a personal, in the same way that what y'all are doing is very personal, and you're motivated to help others in the same shoes. I can tell this story with a big smile on my face because everyone is doing okay, and is alive and well, and it's definitely brought us closer together. But everyone in my family at some point in time has had some life-threatening illness, myself included. So I have a congenital heart condition, and I had a heart procedure when I was 18. My sister has had her own health challenges as well. My mom has a neurological disease, and my dad, who's a physician, has also had 4 heart attacks and a stroke. So growing up, I was in and out of the healthcare system, and in and out of the hospital, and in and out of the doctor's office as a loved one, as a son, and as a patient myself. And my dad, being a doctor, he saved every single one of our lives. And he did it in an incredibly unique way. And what I say is, when your dad is your doctor, there's this really special thing where, yes, they care about your health, absolutely. But they care about your health in service of you living a happy and fulfilled life, right? Very rarely do people wake up and they say, you know what, in my wildest dreams, I hope that my blood pressure is 120/80. That rarely exists, but it's health is a means to an end. And so my dad, whenever I had these health challenges, he would talk about them and he would help me achieve them, but through the lens of what type of life I wanted to lead, what my goals were. And so this concept for me of, which is what we think about what we're building at Row, this concept of goal-oriented healthcare and starting with what patients want. And I'm sure separately, a therapist would have a lot to say about this, but in many ways, I think what I'm trying to do is recreate my dad with software, right? Recreate the experience that I had growing up, which is health as a means to an end. And it starts with what a patient wants. It definitely obviously delivers what they need. But that's the core of where it starts, and it allows people to play offense in their life. And I think too much of healthcare, and it's an important nuance, but too much of healthcare we think about from a defensive perspective, right? When people talk about preventative health or longevity, they're actually the same. You would do the exact same thing, but one sounds like you're building a superpower, and the other sounds like you're just preventing and waiting for something not bad to happen, or something to prevent something bad from happening. So when I was 18, I had a heart procedure, and the main side effect of my heart medication was erectile dysfunction. Every 18-year-old's dream when they're in college, obviously. And, but I had a really strong relationship with my dad. He was an internist, but he was an expert in infectious diseases, and he actually specialized in sexual health. And so, some kids have birds and the bees conversations when they're 12. I had, here's what genital warts looks like, and you need to wear a condom. And so, and these weren't like diagrams. These were like photographs and pictures from his like textbook. So when I was 18 and I had trouble being intimate, I did feel comfortable at that point in time talking to him, and it was linked to my heart condition as well. And he navigated both of those seamlessly, and he treated both of those with the same level of concern that I, as a patient, had, which at the time, right or wrong, were a fairly equal weight. Or at least I obviously knew intellectually that I needed to take care of my heart, and that it would be something that would be with me for years and decades to come. But I also wanted to have the same college experience that other people did, right? And so he helped navigate that with me. And then he had this ethos, which is just, he would always say to me, he's like, I got you. Like, you don't have to worry, I got you. And so that, Row's sort of phrase that we use a lot internally, it's on our website. It's our, if you can say it's our slogan, it's a slogan, but it's this idea of, we got you. You come here and we'll take care of it. And so when I was 25, I started to experience heart symptoms again. And this is at the same time that my co-founders were having their second and fourth kids, respectively. So all of us were going in and out of the healthcare system, going in and out of the hospitals. And I was doing the stress test, the Holter monitor, the blood test, the whole thing. And I was re-prescribed that same medication that I was in college. and had the same exact experience again, where my dad said, like, don't worry, I got you. And at the same time as we were engaging with the healthcare system, my co-founders and I were at a venture studio, and we were looking for problems to solve. We knew we wanted to build a company together. I do think that, generally speaking, if you have the right people, you sort of wait for the right idea to hit you, and then but it first starts usually with the people. And so the idea was always to build a place that mimicked the experience I had with my dad growing up, but we started with sexual health, and then we expanded beyond that. And so when I think about, when you ask like what Row is, it's goal-oriented healthcare, and we start with what patients want, and we try to deliver that in the most effective and easiest way possible. And so patients come to us and they say, I want to lose weight. And then we have a comprehensive obesity care program. They say, I want to have better sex, and we have products for sexual health. I want to have a child, and we have fertility products and services. I want to have better skin, and we have skincare, same thing with hair or whatever it may be. And so I think that is, the experience that I had growing up definitely influenced what I work on now. And that's how we think about it, and that's how we build. And the way that we have tried to deliver the easiest and most effective experience for patients is by vertically integrating the most important parts of care delivery. So we have a national digital doctor's office live in all 50 states. Our EMR is built from the ground up. We have our own CLIA certified and CAP accredited lab for at-home lab tests. We also integrate with Quest, and we have pharmacies distributed throughout the country. So when you think about working backwards from what a patient wants and what they need, but through the lens, again, of their goals, it's the seamless connection between a doctor's office, pharmacy, and lab. All through the lens of helping them achieve their health goals so that they can achieve their life goals. And we'll talk about that exactly as you said today, right? It started with this, with the medication, but in 2 years in, it's so much more. And it is, again, it's your health in service of the life that you want to live. And so that's how we think about it. That's how we build. And that's sort of what has motivated me to start Row with the team. And one of the reasons why I, genuinely skip into work every single day.
That's
amazing.
awesome. I love it.
Sorry for that rant.
No,
that was awesome.
no, I think the story is important. I mean, most of this podcast is stories, so
Yeah.
I love that. And it's people's, that's just your community story too. You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and I think it's interesting. Like there is something about health, and I it's divine timing, right? Like my dad, I talk about it a lot. My dad has chronic leukemia, and my sister has a very rare, and this all happened at the same time, has a very rare autoimmune disorder that actually attacked her bile duct in her liver, and she had to have a liver transplant. And if you look at my sister, she is the picture of health, beautiful, thin, athletic, creative director. Like she's just all the things. But that's just not true. Like you can't look at somebody and know what their health is. And so I think knowing that has helped me also. When I see people that are during this journey, when I would see people I'm like, why is that person on semaglutide? Why are they this way? You don't know their health, right? So there are just certain things that I feel like have the past couple of years, like with my family being so ill. My sister almost died a couple of times, and it's been a very.
I hope she's okay.
Yeah, she is. She weighed in 109 pounds, I think, the other day. And we were and it sounds crazy. She's a small person. And we were so excited about it. And she's, her hair's starting to grow back a little more. She's got a costume party. She's, got color in her face again. She's not yellow anymore. She got the transplant. We killed off the cancer. It's a journey though. It's a lot. And our families had to really rally. And then I've been trying to run the podcast and work and all that in the middle of all of that too. And it's been a lot, but I guess my point is, it's like you see these things and you have these experiences with life, right? Mm-hmm. And they change your goals, they change what you're willing to kind of, I think, go all in on. And I think, John, when he grew up, like he had lots of cancer in his family. So his dad passed when he was 18. John, you can of course tell him, but, health is a big thing for him too. And I just don't think we ever thought that our lives were going to revolve around like having people feel healthy, get healthy, but they do, and so many of those things happen,
It was always important. Right. I think to both of us, babe, for me, like Kim said, cancer runs very deep in my family. Unfortunately, my grandfather passed from it. My dad passed from it. I lost 2 uncles, actually 3 uncles to it, 2 aunts. So it was, definitely, a big motivating thing for me to pay attention to what's going on. I don't look the healthiest all the time, but, I see my doctor every 6 months just to make sure, that I'm getting everything checked. So, organizations and practices like what you've developed, Z at Row, are something for me that I think is the most important. A one, for lack of a better word, a one-stop shop that I can go to where I see my doctor, I get my blood work at that same, location or through that same system, and that I can pick up my, my medication, and everybody's communicating with everybody else in regards to what's happening. That healthcare team, that's a phenomenal thing. It's to me, it's awesome.
Yeah. It is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. We're both piggybacking on what both y'all mentioned. A friend of mine, and I don't know whether this is her phrase or her dad's phrase, or a friend of hers, but she said she's been experiencing some pretty significant health challenges recently, and she said, a healthy person has many goals, and an unhealthy person has one goal. And I think that, as you said, like when that takes over, I think people underestimate the role that someone with a health challenge, the role that plays in their lives, in their life, especially if it's something that they might not fully appreciate the weight of it themselves. If it's not something that they've experienced, right? There's tremendous stigma both with sexual health.
Yes.
And with obesity, and we're going to talk about both of those today, and the intersection between them and the combination. But if you haven't experienced it yourself, it's hard to see the impact that it has on someone's life, and that it impedes them from living the life they want to lead. And so I think for us, that's been something at the core that I think my dad was which is natural for a father, but I think maybe atypical for the healthcare system in general, but was so unapologetic about his desire to help me live the life I want to lead, and then use medicine and healthcare as a tool to do that. So it started with what I want. What do I want? And rarely does a healthcare interaction, rarely does it start with when a patient walks in and the doctor says, what do you want today? Like, what would you like to achieve? And work backwards from there.
Yeah. I love that, because I do think that, just candidly, a lot of times I think when people are trying to solve for, if you will, like my background's product marketing, right, is solve for obesity or solve for type 2 diabetes, like the answer is like, let me get on medicine, or let me do it's weight loss. And I think that's a perfect description of my mindset in the beginning, which was I was a sick person that needed medicine. Right. So in order to be a healthy person, that I need, or to be able to think that way, to think about health, I needed to get to a certain state. Right. And I think that when you go in, and we hear this in our community so much, like, I'm not losing weight enough fast enough. I'm not losing, when am I going to start losing weight, and all of these different things. And they just don't know the answer. A lot of times that's just because the care system just isn't quite there yet. Right. At least not as a whole. Right. We hope that'll change, and we hope that's something that changes at Row, or that Row does, but it's really interesting, like the way that we think about weight, because it's very, very, especially like with the bias, right? But it's very diet culture. And we think that's the problem. But when really weight, when it comes to obesity, is just the symptom of the disease, right? And so we talk about sick people need medicine. That's sort of like our thing we say a lot. Like, that's what this is. Obesity is disease. Somebody is sick. They need medicine. They deserve care, period. So that's what we're trying to kind of put across too. So it's interesting that kind of aligns with what you were talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kat. Sorry.
Cool. Let's get into it. It's nice and juicy.
Let's do it. What do you want to talk about, Kat?
So first, I know, we have that term that's been floating around called Ozempic babies. Sure. And I found this article, and she was the person they interviewed with the Wall Street Journal. She was actually a patient of Roe. And they created this, they wrote an article about a patient who was using Ozempic that found this newfound intimacy, a newfound sexual desire, because she's getting so healthy. how do you view the recent reports linking GLP-1 medications to increasing sexual intimacy among women? And on the flip side of that, I caught a People magazine article back in April that said GLP-1s may do the opposite and decrease the desire, being that it does kind of deaden that dopamine rush, if I am speaking correctly. So what are your thoughts on all of that? It's a very loaded question. Questions.
Oh, there's so much. Obviously, this journey is so, personal for everyone, and so there might be it's very likely that there are individuals who experience both ends of the spectrum that you described. But I think, speaking in sort of generalities and averages and what the majority of people experience, but that's not always, again, the majority is not everyone, but what we refer to at Roe, what we talk about when we talk about GLP-1s is we often refer to them as jetpacks for positive behavior change.
Okay.
And it's because they really, again, as you said, that there's so many things that the individual themselves obviously needs to do, right? It's Kat, you kicked off this with saying it's not a silver bullet, right? And that's
right.
100% true. But that's why to us it's this boost. And when we think about the positive behavior change, it's these little things that start, right? If someone's able to quiet that food noise, right, and then they're able to eat a little bit less in that, and then they're able to sleep a little bit better, and then they're able to exercise a little bit more, and then maybe that positive feedback loop starts to kickstart, and those things piggyback on one another. And before you know it, that person is sleeping far more, they're exercising far more. Not only are you seeing a reduction in calories, about 20-30%, but you're seeing what people eat dramatically shift. We see that in our own data. We see that in surveys. So people are eating far more poultry, fish, vegetables, and far less confectionaries, sugary drinks, and things like that. And then what you're seeing is people date a little bit more as a result. Right, you're seeing again the exact why time will tell, but you are seeing people, particularly women, purchase more lingerie. That could also be because there are changes in body composition over time as well, right? So there's a bunch of things here, but I do think you are seeing this positive feedback loop. And overall, if someone has more energy, if they are able to achieve, if they have more energy because they're sleeping more and exercising more and eating better. And that might lead them to engage in different activities or be more social, have more confidence. We see that a lot in the data as well, and that might lead to a natural consequence of them being more intimate with their partners. And we saw in the Wall Street Journal, the article that you talked about, I thought one of the awesome quotes that Danielle had, which she said, "The last 8 months of our marriage is better than the previous 12 months of our marriage."
Food has definitely been a very dominant voice in my head. That's not the main focus anymore. Dieting, exercising, and adding GLP-1s through Roe is a game changer. I have such a sense of mental freedom since I started with Roe. Food no longer controls my thoughts. Family time used to revolve around food, and now it revolves around what we're going to go do together.
And again, that's one individual, but you do see, and y'all said this medication is life-changing. And I think when you talk about that, I think it's, and again, this is from seeing my dad's experience, because he's been on Mounjaro for about 2 years, and Ozempic for 2 years prior to that. Again, it's the medication was this kickstart to this overall really is incredible change in lifestyle, and it helps him continue to maintain it. So I think you are seeing really fascinating ripple effects from people taking this medication, right? In their social life, in their personal life, in their professional life, and it's really wonderful to see. Overall, again, there might be some, to your point, where it also is impacting the reward center of the brain, right? And so it'll be interesting to see over time, like the weights of these impacts, right? Is the positive weight of having more energy, sleeping more, eating better, that evolution in body composition, how does that outweigh for every individual? Very unlikely, but does that outweigh the impact on the other side? So that's what we've seen. We have seen it be and serve as this jetpack. Overall, I think
Cool,
you're
I like
seeing
that.
that, and it's been really exciting to see the impact that it has on patients' lives.
Yeah, that's so true. Like I can totally see that. And I do feel like in the beginning for me, again, this is I think because you're in the mindset of being a sick person and you're not well yet. So you can't really think about what the next well looks like, right? Or what well can be other than the losing of the weight. But when I had the food noise turn off, and I remember like in the beginning, I was just like, I'm just gonna eat a little less. That's it. Right. And then I ate a little less and I was like, okay, I think maybe this might be helping. Right. And then I was like, what if I move a little? Moved a little. And I was like, how do I move? Because I was very heavy, right? And I was like, how do I do that? And I just was like, I'm just gonna keep up with my laundry, keep up with my dishes, like never let them pile up. Right. And then that just got me to a place where I was like, okay. And I think I was losing a little weight, but I wasn't like stuck to the scale. I was just like, just trying to eat a little less, a little bit more, like, because that's what they've been telling me forever. Right. And then I was like, but what if I could eat different things? What if I wanted to? Right. And just the fact that I could even have that conversation with myself and like hear myself kind of blew my mind. And that was when I realized I didn't have those like incessant like food noise and it being so loud and kind of torturous. And it definitely made me want to, like, I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes it's hard to talk about the food noise thing because it's been long and I've been far away from it now. But I remember like not feeling like I could not control it. I felt like I wasn't in control of my choices, if that makes sense. But I knew
Absolutely.
that wasn't possible like that. So then
Yeah.
I would beat myself up about it. Right. Like I feel like I can control it. I have to have, and I swear it's like my brain thought I was starving, right? We needed to have all the carbs in the land and all the sugar in the land and all, anything that we could to like, I say we, cause I'm talking about like, it's two different things, but it's how it felt. Right. And I felt out of control. And now that's not how I talk about food. I say, I think this, I want that. And I want this. And it's just so nice to be able to like have those things blended because then when I'm in control and I feel in control, what else could I do? What else could I do?
It's really powerful what you just said. And there's two, I'd love to just double click on them and tease them out for the audience. Cause I think there's two really important things that you said. And I want to make sure
like
we
that
emphasize them.
Double click and tease them out. So I like that. Click.
The first is this idea of that you said, Kim, like, I think it's really incredible and very rare that you were able to, there was almost, you were incredibly patient at the very beginning in terms of really just letting yourself have these individual, these micro wins, right? I'm not going to let the dishes pile up. I'm going to move a little bit more. And I think with any healthy and positive behavior change in general, a lot of times people, this is part of the stigma. Like people are very familiar with what the ideal is, like the ideal diet, the ideal exercise regime, whatever it may be. People, it's been pushed forward for decades. Generally speaking, right? It's how do I get from here to there, right? And so a lot of times people try to rush, and then it's naturally like it would be as if you wanted to try and learn how to ride a bike, and the first thing you try to do is bike 100 miles. Yeah. And so that the small wins that you could stack there, the dishes and things like that, it's really important that community, when they start, it's the same thing, which is, let's say you're walking 2,000 steps a day and you hear, oh, I know the ideal is 10,000 plus. You don't have to go 10,000. Try for a week to be at 2,500 or 3,000.
Yeah.
Month later, try 4,000, right? When you try to think about the time horizon that you're trying to make improvements on is the rest of your life. And so you're not rushed to the finish line. Same thing with dosing as well, right? You don't need to rush to the highest dose. I know it's easier said than done because people want to see those results faster, but camping out at those lower doses, making sure your body gets used to it and comfortable with it, and working with obviously your provider to achieve that. But it's those little wins, right? 2,000 steps, go to 3,000. You're drinking 3 Coca-Colas, but you love them, try 2 and then try 1, right? Instead of going. So that I just want to make sure these little wins stacking inch by inch is a really really, really important thing to take away. The second thing that I think is really important from a psychological perspective is the nature of guilt, and because one, that the stigma leads to it, but two, it's so my dad is a physician, right? And so he knew the biological processes. He knew from an intellectual perspective all of the things that you said, right? His body is mimicking a starvation response. It's driving him to eat. He knew that it wasn't just a matter of self-discipline. He knows about the concept of set point and energy balance and all of those different things, right? Intellectually, he knew. It did not remove the sense of guilt for him. He still felt it was his fault. He still felt that he had done everything for his family except take care of himself. He was able to help me, my sister, my mom. He was able, he worked constantly, but he felt, we asked him, and this was a big point of tension between my mom and him. It was a big point of tension, and it was a big point, not of tension between us, but it was always something that, and we've had conversations about this, that he felt that, he felt tremendous guilt because he thought, why can I not do this for my family? Right? Why could I not why can't I not eat this extra thing? Why am I in the kitchen at 2 a.m? And this is someone who has a much higher IQ than I do. And he had been there for his family in every other way. And so he felt he carried with him for 20, 25 years, this deep sense of guilt and shame. Yeah. And even though intellectually he knew he shouldn't, didn't matter. Yep. Then he went on GLP-1s and his food noise disappeared. And within 2 weeks, he was able to, quote unquote, be the person that he wanted to be in terms of the decisions he made. And when I tell you it was like a dam broke, he felt this intense form of like catharsis. And he and I have had conversations about it that has brought both him and myself to tears, because he said, for 25 years, I felt this sense of guilt and shame. And then I took this medication, and what it showed me was what I knew intellectually. Yeah. It actually proved to me, even though I knew it, it proved to me that it wasn't my fault, that it was a biological response, that it wasn't a form of lack of self-discipline or willpower, and that it wasn't that I didn't want to be there for my family enough to make these decisions. Yeah. And I think that's really important for people to hear time and time again, because maybe if they hear it enough, hopefully they won't carry that same weight, even if they don't have access to the medication just yet. Yeah. Because I think, again, those two things, those micro wins that stack, but that true change and that true experience of having that guilt wash away, I think is really important for people to consistently hear.
Absolutely.
It's one that we hear so frequently from so many people.
And you've been told that like your whole life, right? Like your whole life. I mean, I remember my parents kind of being wit's end and saying, like, if you're not going to lose weight for yourself, do it for me. And my parents are great. Yeah. But that, and so then what happens? They don't mean it,
Same
right?
thing.
But then it's
do it for your kids. Do it for X. Yeah.
Do it for this. Yeah. And of course I couldn't. I dieted every year, failed every year. Sometimes I would do well. Sometimes I had lap band surgery, eventually failed that, it was just like one thing after another. And doctors often ignored me and just told me to lose weight. Like anytime I would tell them about, issues with my cycle or wanting to have children, and it was very much ignored. And so all of that is like a tremendous amount of mental trauma that I don't think
100%.
People understand happens with people that live in a bigger body, especially for a long time. And there is just as much emotional work to do on this journey as there is physical work, if not more so. That's
the second year in. Yeah, I feel that in the second year. You want to say something, John?
Yeah, to piggyback off of what Z said about his dad, and even what Kim just said, and kind of my experience on it, I noticed, and it kind of sounds like maybe your father had a similar experience. I noticed it slowed my brain down. Mm-hmm. It didn't just turn off the noise. It didn't just turn off everything else that was going on inside of my head. It actually slowed thinking down enough to where I could see the other things that were there and in front of me. Mm-hmm. I could see that when I was looking at the plate that, 3 chicken breasts was too much. Mm-hmm. I could see it, but at the same time, I could see that my son needed me to go to catch air with him. Mm-hmm. And to be able to walk around and interact with him and the other parents that were there and to see what was going on. Did I know it intellectually? Yeah. But did I see it? No. And to me, it was because I was going 100 miles an hour all the time. And I even noticed it with Kim, really, without even realizing it. She was talking about food noise. The first time I knew GLP-1s were working for her was actually, we were going to go out to eat, and I asked her if she wanted to go for Italian because she loves pasta. And even though she's gluten-free, she would relapse all the time and go back and eat pasta. And she looked at me and said, nah, I'm not interested in it. So we just kind of stayed at home and ate leftovers. I don't remember what we ate, but I always whenever I go to Walgreens, I used to buy her a big old XXL Hershey's bar.
Yep.
And I went there and I got one for her because I was getting some Monsters for myself, and I brought it home. I was like, here you go, baby. She said, oh, put it in the refrigerator. I might eat it later tonight. And then 4 days later, it was still in the refrigerator in the door.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, like, it was really working for her. Was she didn't
or
want to
I
go
would
back
just
to
eat
the
a little
gluten.
and leave it in there and come back another time, because you can still indulge in certain things, right? But that's what the whole everything in moderation. I remember that being torture for me in an obese body, in a diseased body, because that wasn't possible. That literally was not possible for me. Like, my brain fought me way too much. My body, the insulin resistance fought me way too much. Like, it just wasn't possible. So there's a certain amount of, I do think, forgiveness on this journey as well, of yourself.
For yourself,
right?
100%.
And also, like, forgiving the people around you that didn't know. Trying to forgive doctors.
Yep.
That's a fun one. And there's a lot of that, because, like, I wish I had learned how to advocate for myself. I wish I had known that there were GLP-1s. I wish I had cared to, be like, but I didn't. I just gave up. And I have my son, and he is incredible. I had 2 miscarriages before my son. So I struggled with fertility. And I just kept getting blown off. Like, you just need to lose weight. You just lose it. Nobody checked, nobody asked, nobody anything. When ultimately I probably had PCOS. And no one tried, right? And that sucks, because I feel like if I had known, like, that Victoza was around when my son was born, I'm like, how many more children could I have? Because there's nothing I love more than being a mother. Nothing.
Yeah.
And that makes me sad. And I just don't want anybody else to feel that way. I want everybody to be in charge of their bodies and be in charge of their hearts and their brains and their goals. And it's why I do this. It's why I do it, because I just don't want anybody else to suffer needlessly.
John said something that was interesting when you talk about, like, getting you your big chocolate bar, because I'm on the other spectrum of that. Like, I worked out like crazy, always been sporty. And I do believe in a heavy body. I think I was trying to prove to the world how fit I was. I taught Zumba, like it. Yeah. So, but I did go to doctors and say, hey, I always felt like, of course, the doctors I went to didn't listen to me. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm in the gym 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Can you give me something so I don't have to white knuckle till Saturday and then burst and then fall off the wagon for 2 weeks? Like, it was always that cycle. And that's no amount of Zumba, running, strength training is going to stop that A1C from climbing, because the white knuckling and the binging. But when you said that you get Kim the chocolate bar, oh no, I snuck that. Like my husband didn't know I was eating 5 bars at once. I would be like, don't put that in the house. But then I would go to the dollar store or wherever and
your
inhale
brain
it in
is
my car.
like, we need calories.
Yeah.
Totally.
Especially when you exercise like that.
Yeah. But
Kat, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You said something earlier that was really interesting. You said it's even more so something that you think about in year 2, in terms of, and I'd love to hear more about that.
Year 2, as far as like the.
Yeah, you said in terms of the emotional journey and what has changed for you in terms of what you can, the things that you had to overcome in year 1 versus what you're now thinking through in year 2. I'd love to just learn more there.
Oh, that's very cool. The first year, I thought I was going to just kill it. I was like, this is what I need, because I'm tired of binging every week, and I'm going to be a size 2 in a year. No. It was such a journey that I learned that I still had to cope with the pounds between the ears.
Between the ears, yeah.
I went to Overeaters Anonymous. I did the 12 steps. Like, I felt like I really had a serious issue. I took therapy for the compulsive overeating. So I thought this drug would just take care of that. No, I still have to. I mean, the podcast, like our audience knows, like I take an antidepressant that keeps me even. I thought I was, and that was interesting when you say the second year. This was the second year. I thought I was A-okay. I thought I was cruising. And I told my psychiatrist, "Hey, I don't need this drug anymore." No. In 6 months, I was back. I was like,
Got it.
yeah. So it's it was a real mirror, like a real mirror. I had to, no matter where you go, there you are. I'm still dealing with a lot of me.
Yeah.
So it's not, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Right? Like, as you should, though, right? I think we forget that. And I think just like, we think the answer is the weight. We do. And that's, and I think that people that don't live in bigger bodies and people that don't struggle with obesity or overweight, I think that maybe they take that for granted a little bit. Like, that's why when you try to explain food noise to people that don't have it, they don't get it. They're like, "What do you mean?
Yeah.
Just don't eat it." They don't get it. They don't get that your brain is in charge and you will ingest,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like Kim said, she didn't want to call it a journey. It's an adventure.
It's an adventure.
Yeah. Excursion. There you go. It's excursion. It's
I
wild.
appreciate you sharing that, Kat. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was curious, so thank you for sharing that.
That's pretty cool. Well, it's a good segue to our question, right? So, so we chatted with you on the last time about the important features that Ro offers, right? And so I wanted to repeat that. Could you discuss the medication location feature? I believe it's the branded GLP-1 supply tracker. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And
so we built. Go for it.
I was going to say, right now during the FDA shortage, is there a shortage? Is there not? How important is that? Or that would be very, very important right now. So
it's a great question. So we built two free tools for patients just to help out the community navigate current what we see as two of the current biggest challenges. One is finding supply, and the other is understanding insurance coverage. So we'll talk about the supply one first. So we built that because, as you know, millions of patients are on GLP-1s, and there isn't a clear sort of first in, first out system for patients to be able to get access to their medication on a reliable basis. And so every single month it's a hunt. I've seen my dad hunt different pharmacies nearby where he lives in Sarasota, Florida. I mean, he must drive to 5 or 10 or be on the phone constantly looking. Wow. And so we wanted to try and we built a tracker that did a few things. One, it let people see what drugs and doses were currently listed as on shortage according to the FDA. And that's useful for both patients and providers. Providers make decisions based off of that list, and patients talk to their providers about it, and they stay on top of it as well. And so we wanted to try and allow patients and providers to have as much information as possible to determine what the best next step is for that patient. So first is just a really easy way to understand the list for all GLP-1s, because you go to the FDA's website and it's not built for the GLP-1 patient, it's built for all drugs. So what we do is we tried to synthesize it across so that patients didn't have to go searching for each drug. So that was the first thing, just is this on shortage, and if so, what doses? The second thing that it did is it tried to help patients crowdsource where available supply was. So someone can come on and say, I can't find GLP-1s, and they say what drug, dose, and their zip code. And then someone says, hey, I found GLP-1s. And here's the pharmacy that I found that GLP-1. And it'll notify anyone within 100 miles of that pharmacy, if their zip code falls within 100 miles, immediately that another individual found the same drug and dose at a nearby pharmacy, to again help patients find where supply might be and a way for them to pay it forward. And that was entirely a free tool. Now, the this might sound odd, but the best thing for that tool is that if it were useless, meaning in the sense that if it weren't needed, great, fantastic. There's, that it's a real shame that we had to build this tool in the first place. And it's really bittersweet to see how well it has done, candidly. We've had over 60,000 shortage reports in just the last 9 weeks since we launched it. 40% of the reports are from Wegovy. Another 40% are zepbound, and another 20% are the combination of Ozempic, Mounjaro, Victoza, Saxenda, Trulicity. And so you really do see Wegovy and zepbound having that challenge. Now, recently, as you called out, sort of are these drugs on shortage? Presently, while all the doses are listed as available, the drugs themselves, so semaglutide and tirzepatide and liraglutide, the drugs themselves are listed currently in shortage, which I think is the FDA's best way to communicate their overall picture of the availability of the drug. And so we see that on the FDA's website. We see the majority of our patients who are written branded medications unable to pick up their prescription within 14 days. You do see that number increase over time. But again, it takes them maybe 25, 30, 40 days to pick up their medication. You've seen Lilly and others and Novo on their earnings calls say that the pharmacy experience will be choppy. And then our wholesalers as well as pharmacies that we work with are backed up all across the country. They're on back order and they don't have the medications in stock. So, while the doses are quote unquote listed as available, there's so many pieces of information from the shortage report to the drug itself being on shortage, to pharmacies being on back order, to earnings calls, to patients being unable to pick up their medication. There's so many pieces of evidence that says it's not easy right now for patients to pick up these medications. And I think that is, such a massive problem. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. This community is probably struggling with it every single day. That's why we built this tool. To just try and make either that information far more accessible and hopefully help patients find supply with one another. But that's a little bit of an update on the supply tracker.
That's awesome though. Like it's we've been in these streets 2 years. That's what we say. We've been on these GLP streets for 2 years. It's been a lot. And there have been shortages of everything.
I love that.
My dad's on Ozempic because he has diabetes. My mom's on Ozempic for pre-diabetes. So my sister's on now she's on zepbound. So there's genetics is a thing. I'm just saying and so we've always been like, did you find it? And so being able to have that information available, I think is huge because in the beginning, especially 2 years ago, it was just us on TikTok. There really wasn't.
Are y'all having a hard time finding it every month, or y'all found a place where it's easy for you?
It depends on. It just depends on the month. 12.5. So I'm on 12.5. John just moved to 15. Those are harder.
Yep.
I actually just got a call from one of our local pharmacies, babe, that they're going to call me next week. They're going to have the 12.5.
Oh, that's great.
So, what I always tell Kim and John, because, right? Because I'm doing the C word.
Say it on this show.
You probably don't have any challenge with supply.
No, but when I go to my pharmacy to get my levothyroxine, and my other drugs, when I go to that pharmacy, I look at that cooler. I can give you the address of that Walmart pharmacy. They are always stacked. All zepbounds and Mounjaros. I just look over there and I'm like, dang it. But
I need you to report that in the tracker.
That sounds like you got a lot of that's very powerful data that Ro is collecting.
And we've shared that data with the FDA.
That's good.
I was actually going to ask you if that was being sent over to them or if they were aggregating it somehow. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, and I think something that's important about that too, right, is that we know that Lilly has said they're not going to be reporting, right, that anything's in shortage to the FDA anymore. That's what we've heard. So ultimately, to ensure that we are aware of what supply is available, like many other times with this community, it's in our hands, right? So having a tool that can help us do that, to help raise our voices, to help us get loud, to help say this isn't okay, we need help, right? And to be able to get the medicine that we need tools like this. We need, so absolutely. It's important. Yeah. I would tell you that one of the, especially in the beginning when I started sharing my journey, and I've never been a big, let me do a shot day and like weigh-in day and stuff like that, because I fluctuate so much week to week with my weight. And I just sort of didn't feel like on trend with that. So I've always talked about sort of like the emotional journey of it, and like really that's it. And letting people kind of, come to all of those sort of like resolutions and conclusions that I was talking about in the beginning. And I started doing lives. And one of the most common questions that I would get then and now is, okay, well, how do I get started? How do I know what my insurance covers? How do I this? How do I that? And the language is all wrong and all the things. And so what we would honestly tell people is to call their insurance company. We'd be like, call and use this language, which GLP-1s are on your formulary, right? What's a formulary? Nobody knows, right? Nobody really knows. And if your life isn't depending on your formulary, then you are paying a lot of attention usually, So, but we were trying to like inform them on like questions to ask. Well, here's the problem. Here's the rub, right? When that would happen, people would get bias. They would get ignorance. They would get pushback from people being like, you shouldn't be on a diabetic medication, like not understanding that they're approved for 2 different indications, more than that now, and probably more in the future. Right. And that would make people just feel worse. And we've already talked about like how you can be in a state of unhealth, right? When this is all happening here and in your body. And so I think being able to say that there is another tool for you to be able to figure out what's on your formulary and how to do it, because it can be very complex, because everything is based on policy. Everything is based on policy. People think, oh, Blue Cross Blue Shield won't cover it. No, that's not how this works. Right. So can you tell us a little bit about
how your policy could change every year?
Exactly. And it does.
On a whim. We changed our whole insurance in the mid-year.
It'll change your whole life in one quarter.
New company.
Boop. Yeah. Awful. So how is Ro helping solve for that?
It's another great question. Thank you so much for asking, Kim. I'm really excited.
Like a nerd.
We're really excited about this tool that we built. It's called a Ro GLP-1 insurance checker. People can go to ro.co/insurance. But let's stay on the problem that you articulated is why we built the tool, right? So one of the biggest, if not the biggest problem for patients at the very beginning is understanding how much GLP-1s will cost. And the first part of that is, are you covered? Because if you're the variance of cost to the patient, if you're covered versus not, is what we see is the majority of patients who are covered are paying less than $100. So let's say the average is $50. And when you're not covered for branded, it could be $1,000 a month. So the difference might be $500-$600 a year versus $12,000, right? Massive difference. And one's far more accessible to people. And the problem is there's probably about 5-10 million people currently on GLP-1s. There's 50 to 60 million plus people with coverage for Wegovy and zepbound. And so there's this tremendous gap between knowledge, access, all right, knowledge, coverage, and access. And we think that knowledge should not be the reason that someone is able to get access to this medication at an affordable price or not, right? So we built this tool, to your point. Yes, people can call their insurance company. Often takes 30 minutes to an hour. But in addition to having that time, they have to know exactly what to ask. They have to know in what order to ask. They have to know, and we've done tens of thousands of these phone calls and are really quite good at it at this point. And so what we want to do is we want to make that really easy for patients. And so patients come on, they'll enter a little bit of information about their health and a little bit of information about their insurance. We will go call their insurance company on their behalf, and we'll put together a personalized coverage report. And that coverage report will say whether they're covered for GLP-1s or not, which GLP-1s, for Ozempic, for Wegovy, for zepbound. It'll say what their estimated copay is, whether or not a prior auth is required, and we'll layer on FDA availability data. So, and I could send one over as well if you want to check it out. But that allows a patient to very quickly see, am I covered or not? What's my estimated cost? Is there a prior auth? Is there a burden? And then they can get started right away. They can get started with Ro, or, and again, this is a free tool that we built. We would love for people to get started with us, but they don't have to, right? And I think that this is, they can take that link and they can send it to their doctor, because as we've seen, sometimes doctors' offices, they might be reluctant. They're already backed up. The administrative burden is significant, and they might be reluctant or not have the know-how to run it down for a patient. If they know that a patient's covered, and they know that they likely fit the criteria, it makes it much easier for their office, as an example. Or maybe they don't require a prior auth and it's super easy. So we wanted to build this tool to solve that very, very specific problem. Again, bridge that gap between knowledge, coverage, and access. And it was a passion project by a few people on the team, another nights and weekends sprint. And really hope it just, again, saves people a lot of time and energy, and hopefully gets more people access at the lowest possible price.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I also think, like, candidly, it's very important because, you know, a lot of us that are out here that are, you know, doing lives and doing podcasts, whatever, that are doing these things, like, most of us are not medical professionals. So we're going to do the very best that we can, but we're just telling people what we've experienced. Right. And, you know, I often try to say, like, oh, and this is what I've heard from the doctors on this podcast, on this episode, go check it out. Right. Like, kind of as a resource, because I'm not a medical professional. So I think having a tool, especially that's done from a healthcare company, right, I think is really nice to have something, because there also is a lot of misinformation, I think, that we deal with in this space. So being able to be like, this is a thing, and it is a valuable thing, and it is real, and it's, you know, like, tangible, trustworthy. I think that's a big deal. That is a really big deal for people in our community, because we do struggle quite a bit in this area. We really do.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the fact that you guys are, as opposed to it just being kind of an automated thing, the fact that you guys are taking the time to actually call on their behalf, gather the information, personalize it. I think that really that adds a value to it, to me as a person. You can ask him. If I can do something in person, I would much rather have that interaction than I would any other. So to me, the fact that personal touch is there is great. Having come from being a help desk technician and working with pharmacy companies before, I know to an extent how much of that data can quickly be gathered through an application. The fact that you guys are going a different way with it, I really like that.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like they're doing kind of both, which I think is.
Well, yeah, but it's just that extra layer, because like the thing that I like the most about Ro, with what I know from talking to you, the commercials, the things that I've seen on your website, is the fact that you guys add that personal layer to it. That
we got you. It's the we got you.
Yeah, it's the we got you. That's the best part of it. To me, that's the best part of it.
Love it. Well, this has been a lovely conversation.
It's been really nice. It's been really nice.
Thank you so much for providing us all this information.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on. And again, just incredible to see what y'all have built and are building, and feel very grateful to be a very little part of it, and rooting for y'all from afar, and just again, building an incredible community. Congrats on taking the leap. That's super exciting, and can't wait to see what y'all build next.
Thank you.
It is.
We'll see. I might be a big girl next year and get a job again. I don't know, like corporate America.
You can consult. Well,
yeah.
Anyway. Oh, see, I was going to ask you, last time we talked to you, you had your dad coming over. So is he coming over again? So you got plans, any dinner plans?
He lives in Florida, and I live in New York. So it was really special to be able to see him. That's why I had to sign off. Like, I need to complain to spend time together.
Family first.
I'll hopefully see them. Yeah, I'll hopefully see my mom and dad in the next couple of weeks. But I'm looking forward to it. But thank you so much for asking. I'm going to send him this episode, and I'm sure he'll.
Oh, I love it. Okay, good.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Well, we appreciate your dad for being the inspiration for you creating Ro. So
yes,
and he sounds like an amazing person.
Yeah.
Now I can't. Now he really is, but now I'm not sure that I want to send him this episode, because then I think his head will get too big.
Oh,
I mean, it's okay for his head to get a little big. I mean,
I'm brainstorming. I want to have your dad on the show.
He would love that. He would absolutely love that.
I love it.
I feel compelled. If you want to have money, I'm sure he would love that. I'd love to come on with him, just to make sure that my dad doesn't fully embarrass me. But we would have a blast.
I get that.
We've actually, we have never done a podcast together, mainly out of fear for myself because I don't know what could go wrong when he's given a microphone. But
we'll do a recorded episode, and Bear can edit out anything embarrassing.
Honestly, that'd be fun, and y'all would make it an absolute blast.
It would.
That would be.
Y'all would make it a
I
blast.
want to be there for that episode because I want to meet his dad.
Bear the extraordinaire.
Yeah, his dad sounds awesome.
You two would get along. I think all three of you would really love him.
That'd be awesome.
He's a special guy.
I look forward to meeting him on the episode. Definitely.
Awesome.
He raised an amazing man and somebody who's created just an amazing company, and I feel benefited to.
So sweet.
I don't get emotional very often.
I mean, you gave Kimmer flowers at the beginning. You're giving me Bear. We gotta all hang out all the time. I'm leaving this feeling so great.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Let's throw some Cat's way.
Cat knows how much I love Cat. I worked
with
Cat for 4 years.
I worked with
that was. No, it was 4 years. No, you were there only two. I was at the company.
Yeah, I
before.
worked with these two. I worked with both of you guys.
Yeah, and
wow.
It was just it was awesome.
So y'all already knew that you worked so well together.
Yeah.
Before you started. That's awesome. That's very cool.
Like in different sort of departments and different sort of ways, but I think that it's cool to be able to start.
That's so cool.
Someone that like knows your character, right? And
100%.
And they do. So.
I think we're also trauma bonded by the company.
Happen. Like, for sure. The place that we work, and because of obesity, there's so much trauma bonding.
We're trauma bonding. That's all it is.
And
Kat, I'm still in that. Phrase. We're trauma bonded.
Bind.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. I love that.
That's what makes a community. I'm telling you. Awesome. Well, this has been great. I know we've taken a lot of your time. I really appreciate you coming on.
It. Thank you.
And we will definitely revisit the dad thing. And
that sounds
see if
great.
we can have that, because I feel like anybody that's watching this right now will be in the comments being like, "Yeah, let's do it." So it'll be
all right. We'll have to do it.
I can't wait to hear the audience to see what they say.
Oh yeah, tell us audience. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to read the reviews.
I am going to be setting up fan mail, so get ready.
All right. My dad will be the first one to write you a letter.
I hope so.
All right. See y'all. Yeah, he will.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Thanks so much.
Y'all have a great rest of your week, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Right.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye, Z.
Oh my gosh, yay. That was so much fun. So much good information. Right?
Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, get it. Yeah.
Listen,
it's about the ripple, right? Like, this is the thing with Rennie, right? So my son, if you guys know, he went to school and he decided that there needed to be more apples in the cafeteria. And I was probably about 8 months in with the podcast doing this, and I wasn't getting enough time with him for sure. Not enough time with Barry, not enough time, right? But it's the ripple, right? And what our parents do for us and what we learn from our family. And he went to and got a petition signed because and he's autistic, it's a big deal for any kid to do this, right? But for a kid that is a social, communication disorder, like it's hard at learning and everything, right? And he went and created a petition. I got a bunch of people to sign it to try to get more apples in the cafeteria. And when I picked him up from school, I wanted to know what was going on with that, because I figured it was like a project for school. And he said, no, like, I really just think we should have apples in the cafeteria, because he likes apples. And my son doesn't like a lot of foods. He is autistic and he struggles in this way with textures. And we were driving back in the car, and he said to me,
"Great pie."
I know, right? And he said to me in the car, he goes, "It's like you said, Mommy, you've got to teach your kids to advocate." And that's the ripple. That's the ripple. And that was the moment that I knew I was doing the right thing, And even now that I think John and I doing it together and trying to help people, we really have good intentions. I know there are people that sometimes want to believe that we don't, but we do. Now, do we have to pay our bills and feed our family? Yeah, but you know what? TikTok shop, So we're doing the best that we can, but we really do want to help people. We're trying to aggregate and bring everybody, a safe space to come and learn and grow and heal, So for all of those that are here on this journey and have remained, we love you and we thank you, and including my cat. We love you.
Let's party like it's 1999.
Let's do indeed. What a lovely episode, family. Okay, I love it.
Kat, that video that you sent me, that broke my soul.
Wait, we're still recording, right? Bear, get with it. Bear, you're going to be cutting this out.
What people have posted, though, they said if they said Prince and not his full name, Prince Rogers Nelson, it may not have thrown them off.
That's true.
But
I don't think so. I would have been like, well, I feel like the one.
Let's ask your son.
Close.
Does he know who Prince is?
Thanks to his mother, he doesn't.
Listen, his mother teaches him all the things. Okay.
Oh no,
his mother's very busy.
Kat, his mother's music taste is.
Oh, don't even go there.
Prince is. He became mainstream. But anyway,
a while ago.
This is a side note, but yes, but you know what? Here's how Princey, I guess, famous. My cousin-in-law, which is on my husband's side, obviously, right? I found out that there is I'm just as big of a Prince fan on his side of the family. So she and I bonded. Oh, and awesome. She sent me a message that said, "Hey, Kat, I don't know if you saw this, but Jill Jones reposted your IG into her stories." Cool. And I was like, "Oh." So Jill Jones was is a vocalist. She was in Purple Rain. She was in Graffiti Bridge. She's been around. She's been around the Prince world. So I was like, oh, I'm Prince people famous. I feel like that's a Jill Jones.
Last night's episode.
You what now?
Going on a Prince tangent. Do you know what I'm saying?
Never. It's never.
I feel like it's branded now. Like it
Prince
has
is ubiquitous. Yeah.
I love it. We need to
check out a Jill Jones album.
Yeah. In this episode, people know what we're talking about.
Just look up Jill Jones and Prince relation, because there's another actress and her name is Jill Jones, and that's not her. The other one from the 80s. She dyed her hair blonde.
A lot of people that watch us that are obsessed with Prince. Did you know that? Like so many people are like, I love Prince.
People.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you seen our logo? We're like legit. I mean, it's like when I was trying to design it, because I'm a designer, I was like, I need it to be 80s jazzercise. That's what I want it to look like.
It looks like 80s jazzercise.
80s jazzercise.
Totally looks like 80s jazzercise. And like, how can you not love Prince? Prince is
I'm in my jazzercise ensemble right now.
Prince is one of the jewels from the 80s.
Sure.
He's just.
And 90s.
80s, 90s, and 2000s.
80s,
yeah, he's just an amazing.
Even that last album before he passed, he was going back to his funk and his
he's just an amazing artist.
Anyway, I'm gonna too many
tangent. Prince tangent. Leaving it in. I'm
gonna leave it alone.
Oh yeah, no, totally leave it. Yeah, this isn't getting cut out. This is
guide. Bear Extraordinaire is also the editor / occasional co-host.
Yeah, and Bear says the stage.
This far, you're listening to a Prince tangent. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
If you're still here, you're loyal,
and we appreciate you. I thank
you. Fantastic. Well, we will see you guys next week. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and as soon as we have more information about Z's dad, won't that be
right?
We will let you know. Tell us in the comments if you're into it, and we'll go from there. Right? Huzzah?
Yeah.
Hasta la pasta.
Hasta la pasta. We appreciate you.
Hasta la pasta. See you next week.
Hasta la pasta.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise. That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.